Okay? Hopefully we won't, but they're pretty good insurance risk, okay? And that's what these guys realized. And so for me to want to serve my colleagues in education, this was an easy piece, okay? This is what we do in terms of what you're seeing today. The first thing we've got to understand is how to manage your student loan debt. If we can manage your student loan debt, and you can understand it through this workshop, then hopefully you can get a lower payment or reduce or remove the payment, which is what we'll talk about. Near and dear to my heart is donorschoose.org because teachers spend a lot of their own money on their classroom. And you shouldn't do that because you don't make that much money when you're a teacher. You need the money that you're making to do what you need to do in your own life. And we use donorschoose.org to put projects up and get those things funded for people's classrooms. We have a financial success workshop. We'll actually see a handful of slides from it today, and we'll talk briefly about that. And guys in our company are state teachers retirement experts. They'll help explain what state teachers retirement looks like, help get you geared up for retirement, because for me personally, in California, and I know in Florida it's the same thing, we have a great pension. If you work a 30-year career in California, you'll retire with what you're making for the rest of your life. It's a pretty good gig. But the problem is, I thought retirement was supposed to be better than that. Like I could travel and do all these other kind of fun things, okay? And you can still do some of that, but the best thing is to save a little more money. And we'll touch on that a little bit too. So, here's what I found out, that about 2/3 of all educators have some form of student loan debt. And I'm assuming you're here because you do, or you're getting it right now when we're talking. What we want to do is learn how to either remove or reduce the payments, and then potentially can you deflect that money into some other area of your life that's really important to you because you're trying to grow from. So that's really what we're after right here. This is what the national student loan debt looks like right here, and it's actually a little bit higher than the $1.5 trillion. Trillion is a big number, okay? If I took you back 1 trillion seconds in time, where would we go? Anybody got a guess? You thought the other math was hard, right?
Yeah.
If I'm taking you back 1 trillion seconds in time, I'm going to about 20,000 BC.
Wow.
It's a lot of money. We're talking, this is a huge, huge problem in our country. In fact, I'm convinced that it'll sink the economy in the long run if we don't resolve it somewhere. Because we need you to spend money. The whole economy we have is based on you making money and spending money. And people like me need you to get jobs and pay into the pension so I can get a good pension. And if you're not there paying money into that pension, then we're in trouble. Average debt is actually close to 40. If you have advanced degrees, you probably have way more than that. If you're a special ed teacher, you probably have way more than that because you get multiple credentials for special ed. And this is the part that really scares me. In California, and I'm sure Florida's not a whole lot different, we're losing 50% of our new teachers in the first 5 years. And the main reason we're losing them is because they can't pay their student loan debt. They just can't financially make it with what's going on. And teaching is a pretty good job in California. Teachers started at about 50,000, they got full medical. It just isn't enough where we are. So it's a pretty good gig, and the beautiful thing about teaching is at the top of our pay scales for people that are there 25 to 30 years, most of them are making 100 to 110,000 a year with the pension. It's a pretty good job. Okay? If you guys want to move to California, let me know. Okay? There's a big teacher shortage there. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not recruiting. Yeah. Sorry, Dave. Okay. So this is the goal. We want to remove student loan debt if we can. If you qualify for forgiveness right off the top and you can get it removed, we want to do that. If you can reduce your payment, that's the next best thing, okay? And then take the savings and redirect them. It's a pretty big deal, okay? In fact, we started doing this at Horace Mann quite a few years ago now, and you can see from the number that we've actually got over $200 million in federal student loan forgiveness for people. So it's something we've been doing for a little while. All right. Now, I want to make something clear, and it's going to come up with another slide. If we help you with student loans, we don't make any money. We're not charging you money. You're not paying to come here. In fact, they're trying to feed you. Okay. We just want to help you with student loans. If you like us and trust us, then maybe you'll want to do business with us in some other area. You shouldn't ever pay for student loan help. You shouldn't pay somebody online, you shouldn't pay somebody on TV. These programs are all free, all right? So you shouldn't be paying at all. So here's the first one, teacher loan forgiveness. If you're going to qualify for teacher loan forgiveness, you have to teach 5 years at basically a qualifying school, which is on a low-income list, okay? Some people think that they have to be a certain type of school, but really there's a low-income list that you can access. You can see if your school's on it. 5 years, then you qualify for, if you have these loans right here, it's hard to know what loans you have until you really look, okay? Then you qualify for $5,000. So $5,000 is not a big deal unless you don't have very much student loan debt. If you've got less than $20,000, in all honesty, that's not very much debt. $5,000 goes a long way to knocking out 20, and then you can set it up on a decent pay scale and probably pay $8 a month for 20 years to get rid of it. All right, if you're special ed or math and science, okay, you can qualify for $17,500, which would be a big deal. Okay, so now in your special ed, you have $45,000. $18,000 in forgiveness is pretty big. Knocks you down to 27. It may not be what you choose because everybody's situations are a little bit different on this one. But this is the first program that you would qualify for if you're a teacher. Now you wouldn't qualify for it, okay? But the next one you will. If you guys are teachers, this would be the first thing to consider, okay? Perkins loans, I don't think you guys will probably have any, so I'm not going to really talk about it, but if you do, we can help you with those. They're pretty simple. They're campus-based loans that if you're going to school here, they'll have a program to help you get it forgiven. You just have to be aware of it, and then you got to do the paperwork in once a year, okay? This is the program that everybody qualifies for, and the more debt you have, the more this program makes sense. Here's the catch. It takes 120 qualifying payments, okay? 120 is how many years? 10. So you got to stick with it for 10 years. So it doesn't matter if you're a teacher, a principal, a police officer, a fire chief. If you're in public service, you qualify for this program, okay? Here's how it works. You got to make the payments. The loans have to be direct. If your loans aren't direct loans, it's pretty easy to consolidate them into direct loans, okay? It's just one more step you have to go through. We can help you with that piece. You have to be in a qualified repayment plan. And this is the place where most people really box this thing up. And I'm going to explain to you on the next slide how they do that. Once you have a job with a qualified employer, which would be a public school district or county, state, federal, then you apply for PSLF and they forgive your loans. Program started in 2007. I've had a lot of people go through it and get their loans forgiven already. We have a lot more people that will go through it the next couple of years and get their stuff forgiven. It just takes a while for that 10 years. The sooner you start down this path when you're young, the better. Because for my guys in California, they start making a lot of money and then they don't qualify for the reduced payments very effectively. So we can talk a little bit about that. Okay, everybody understand this piece right here? Okay. So here's what it looks like. Is anybody in repayment? Are you anybody repaying a loan back right now? So if you're repaying, you know, and you'd be dealing with a loan servicer. There's about 18 of them: Nelnet, Great Lakes, Navient, Fed Loan Servicing. When you call them, what are they concerned with? You doing what? Making your payment. They're bill collectors. They don't care about anything else. So consequently, when you first finish school and you have all the student loan debt, they're going to put you in a standard plan. The standard plan is set up to be paid off in 10 years. In this particular case, the example is your payment is $755 a month. Okay? This person right here, if you can see in the fine print, this is a person with $60,000 in student loan debt. They're making $36,000 a year, and their interest rate is 6.8. Okay? Now, $36,000 a year. In California, you could do better on welfare. Okay? You could pull in some public service assistance programs and do better than making $36,000 a year. Not very much money. I don't know what it means to you here in Florida, but I will tell you this. If this is you making 36, there's no way you're making that 755 payment in California. So right away, you call up the lender and you say, hey, I can't make the payment. And instead of the lender really talking to you and finding out what you can do, they just go right down to these right here, and they go, can you make a payment for $459? No. Can you make a payment for $436? And you're on the phone, right? You're just in your own mind, you're going, $436? Are you kidding me? No. I can't make that payment either. And then they go to this one. Can you make the one for $379? And that's their last offer. And it is lower, and so you're like, I can try to make that one. So you hang up, they start you on your new payment plan. Here's the problem. Those payment plans right there, see the red, they don't qualify for public service loan forgiveness. I bet you I've had several hundred phone calls with people paying their loans back to loan servicers, and they've been making these payments, and they didn't know they weren't qualified. I had one with a principal last fall who had been making payments for 10 years, and I walked in his office, he said, I just made my last payment, I shouldn't be getting forgiveness. Anytime somebody says that, they've been doing it on their own, I first go, okay, let's find out. We call the loan servicer, I say, what kind of payments have they been making? Instead, he graduated, and in my own mind, I'm going, oh shit. And I didn't say anything. And I said, are those qualified for public service loan forgiveness? I already knew the answer. And they go, no, they're not qualified for public service loan forgiveness. And then the guy, the client, just blew up. He was really upset. How could you do this to me? I've been making payments for 10 years. Why didn't you tell me? It's really upsetting, okay? This is a really big deal right here. And this is what they do with every single person I run into. I'm not kidding you. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, this is what I see all the time. Before you make your first payment, you really want to figure all this out so you can start making the right payments right from the start. That way, when you get to that point, you've made your 120 payments, you know you're going to get the forgiveness piece, okay? And that's in this bold print right here. Your current payment plan may not even qualify. Okay, does that make sense? All right, go ahead.
So since I haven't graduated yet, I don't think I really have like monthly payments. I just pay when I have like the extra money.
Have you been paying money? Just because you're nice, you've been paying money? It's okay if you have. How much do you owe, would you say?
Less than 5,000.
Oh, less than 5,000. Are you going to teach?
Yeah.
You will get 5,000 teaching, most likely, unless you get a job at a school that's not low income. So it's not a bad thing that you've been paying, that you're low. It would be nice to have it all paid off. But I like, when I get somebody that only owes 5, 6, 7,000, we'll actually put a form in where we won't make any payments. And once they do their 5 years, we'll get the 5,000 and pay it off. So if I was working with you, I'd tell you to get it down to $4,500 and keep it there. If the interest goes up and you have $5,100, I'd have you pay a couple $100 on it. And then when you do your 5 years, you get the 5,000. That makes sense? Okay. We'll talk a little bit more. Go ahead.
If I am still a student and not required to make payments and I'm making payments that's a lot more than 5,000, what would you, is it not a good idea to make payments?
So the question is, if I'm still a student and I'm not making payments, and I owe a lot more than 5,000, should I make payments? And the answer is no, you shouldn't. You should try to qualify for public service loan forgiveness as soon as you finish. Okay? Be ready to go, get your 120 payments in. When you start your career, in Florida, are you at the top of the pay scale or the bottom?
Bottom.
Yeah, you're pretty low. Yeah. If you're low, you're going to see on this next slide that you'll actually get a lot lower payment, because these right here, these are repayment plans based on income. This is what you're going to want when you're young and you're first starting. Okay? What this means is, you can see the standard payment right here, right? $755. Okay? here's the 5 income-driven repayment plans, and look at the red now. They all qualify for public service loan forgiveness. So if you're starting out at the bottom and you're not making as much money, you don't have to pay $755. You can make a payment based on your income. Okay? So it looks kind of like this right here. Instead of paying $755, you put a form in to ask for an income-based repayment, and you ask to qualify for the best one. In this particular case, this person with $36,000 in income and $60,000 in debt actually qualified for a payment of $149. And it's qualified for public service loan forgiveness. Way better than $755, right? Okay, go ahead.
But for public PSLF,
You're getting good at acronyms already.
You
You
have
just
to.
started.
you have to work at a low.
No, public service loan forgiveness, you just have to work for a public agency. Any school district, any police, any fire, any county, anything, and you'll qualify. So if you start working in education and you start on this program and then you say, I'm out of education, you need a county job or city job, so you can finish this off and pay for it, which would be the part that I told you earlier was really critical. Okay? So this part is pretty cool because if you could control your income, which is pretty easy to do when you're first starting, you can make really low payments for a long time. All right? If you start and you have a family, because now you have a bigger household, even though you're making more money, you qualify for lower payments. Okay? And there's some other ways to qualify for lower payments too that we can talk about. So, you can see this right here in the black print. When you make lower payments or extend your repayment period, you will owe more in interest. Okay? But if you receive PSLF, it'll get forgiven. In other words, why would you care if you pay more? Right? In California, we have, and I'm sure it's true in Florida, as soon as doctors are finishing med school, you know where they're trying to get jobs? County clinics. You know why? Because they want to qualify for this, so they have to pay $400,000 or $500,000 in medical school bills. This is when you hear Donald Trump and some of these people, and Barack Obama was complaining about it too, they're complaining about people like that who are making a lot of money trying to get the loan forgiveness. The plan wasn't really designed for them. But that all of a sudden made those clinic jobs really competitive where before they weren't competitive at all. Okay? So if your parents took loans out on you and they're educators, they could actually qualify for this. The only catch is how many payments do they have to make? 120. They got to be around for 10 more years. A lot of them don't know that. They went out and got Parent Plus loans because they wanted to help their kids go to school. And you'll find a lot of your colleagues when you start working in schools and stuff are doing the same thing. They went out and bought loans to help their kids get through school. They don't even know they're eligible for this program. Right? So this is a pretty cool piece. If you know somebody that has this, you're going to want to talk to them. We'll help them with it. Okay, we'll help them get going on this as easily as we can. This is how we want it to work. This slide kind of pulls it together for you. So I'm going to go through each piece of it. This is typically what we try to do with somebody. All right? In this example right here, you can see up in the rectangle at the very top. She's 24. She has an adjusted gross income of 30 grand. Okay? The government's going to measure AGI, adjusted gross income. She has $50,000 student loan debt. She's being asked to pay $347 a month. Okay? There is no way she can make $347 a month payments. There's no way. Not on that income. If we went into an income-based repayment plan, we get her payment to $99 a month. All right? So instead of paying $347, she pays $99. Then we open up a pre-tax 403B right here, so we can save for the future, and we do $100 a month. Remember, that's the money she saved from not paying the $347. This lowers her payment to $89 because we lowered her AGI by doing the pre-tax account. This is a really big deal, and here's why. If I'm working with one of you, and you have a bunch of student loan debt to pay off, and it takes you 25 years to pay it off, and you start at age 25, you're going to be 50 before you start saving for retirement. you're going to have a lifelong financial stress, misery. That's what makes it so hard to stay in teaching. It shouldn't be that way. Teaching is the most important job in our society. It's really fulfilling. I did it for 28 years. It's fun. Kids are fun. Even when they're in high school, they're fun. Okay? And it's a great occupation. But if this is what it takes. You've got to pay back loans for 25 years, and then for 10 years or so, you've got to try to scramble and save money. That's not the retirement I signed up for. That's not what I was looking for and putting all that time in. Okay? So here's what happens to Kate. She works 10 more years. She makes her payments. And every year she puts 5% more money into a 403B. Okay? It earns 6% interest. And then she submits her PSLF form. At 34, $88,000 of her loans are forgiven. And what's better is she has $20,000 now saved for retirement at age 34. That's pretty cool, because this next part, and I'm using California numbers. I know it's not any different in Florida. I just don't know the exact numbers. The average teacher in California retires with $40,000 in the 403B. $40,000. If Kate already gets 20 by age 34, and that 20 just sits there, it'll double every 10 years. When she's 44, it'll be 40. When she's 54, it'll be 80. When she's 64, it'll be 160. If that's all she ever did, it'll double every 10 years. Depending on how you invest in stuff, that's what we want to work on. But this part is pretty cool because she was able to take care of her future. Now, here's the problem with 403Bs. When I tell you the average is 40,000, the problem in California is 2/3 of the teachers aren't doing it. They're not participating. Why do you suppose they're not participating when I tell you that 2/3 of the teachers have student loan debt? Yeah, they don't have the money. They're paying their student loan debt. Okay, we've got to fix this thing. Okay, no doubt. So this is a pretty big deal. This is what our ultimate goal is right here. If we can't get to that, it is possible, and hopefully you don't have any private loans. It is possible that you could refinance your loans into a lower payment, which is really nice to be able to do that piece. You have to understand, if you're going into your financial aid office to get loans, you got to ask what kind they are. You got to find out. Especially if you guys are doing master's degrees and stuff right now, because they don't. Who works at the student loan office? Probably a student. That's what it is every university I go to. And they're issuing checks when you walk in, or hey, here's your form, here's your paper, everything got paid. Oh, where are my loans? I don't know. I'm just a clerk. You need to find out. Because a lot of the private loans are through banks. If it's Chase, B of A, Wells Fargo, it's private loan. And most likely, if it's through a bank, they're going to have a variable interest rate, which means if interest rates go up, you're going to end up paying a lot more money. And the banks aren't so nice, and they don't qualify for any forgiveness programs. Okay? So don't call one of those numbers at 11 o'clock at night when you're desperate to get rid of your student loan debt, and somebody says, we can refinance it for you. Because they're probably going to refinance from a direct loan that's forgivable to a private loan. Okay? And I'm not just telling you guys this. You need to tell your friends, and when you get your first jobs, you need to tell them. And if you send them over, we'll help them. And it won't cost them any money, and we'll be pretty nice. Okay? It's scary, right, Nate? We are nice. I mentioned this earlier. You don't have to pay for help. It's free. All the programs are free. What will happen, and if you take a look at this piece right here, like some of you guys already have, there's a little card right here, because we're going to give a couple things away. And you can fill that out. And there's a little thing here called a Student Loan Solutions Fact Finder. Okay? Obviously, I want you to pay attention to me. Okay? Because I need the attention right here. All right? If you fill out the Fact Finder right here, what's going to happen is this man back here in the back is going to take it from you, and he's going to come up with a plan for your repayment. And then one of these two guys in the back are going to meet with you and present that plan to you with all the forms that you need to do that. Okay? It's actually quite easy the way we do it. It's just you have to put a little information in there. years. So we'll get back to that piece in a bit, all right? But if you see friends trying to do this online, you see friends trying to call people, tell them not to do it, all right? So I'm going to talk about a couple of other things here really quick, and I'm going to circle back to the student loans here at the very end. Some of this stuff is really important, and some of it is a little bit early, but I think you need to start understanding it because when I was a high school teacher, I taught high school economics. In California, it's required for seniors to take it. It's probably the topic that they didn't like the most. And we get to listen to some guy talk about numbers and talk about inflation and all these other wonderful things and macroeconomics and microeconomics and all that fun stuff, right? So, managing money, see, when I was young, I always loved money. And I loved saving money, okay? And I was not afraid to work and make a lot of money and save it. And I found that was a lot different than a lot of my friends. Most of my friends like to get money and spend it, okay, because they bought stuff, all right? In order to first do some really important things, you gotta understand how much money is coming in and where's it going. This is basic. You gotta understand what you have coming in. You get your first job, and you get that paycheck, you sit down with some paper and you say, what do I got? What's my net income? Next, what's it going to cost me to get through the month? This is the scary part, okay? Because it creates the B word, the terrifying budget word, all right? Once you put together a budget, how much you're going to spend, and then you got to stick to it. Especially in your first 5, 6, 7, 8 years while you're starting your career, it's really critical. If you want to finish in first place ahead of everybody else, this is really good, okay? You're going to see all your friends are going to get their money to go out and spend more than they have. And in America, we're really great at credit card debt, which we'll talk about just briefly here, okay? But this piece is really critical. 2 types of savers. Now that you know what your budget is and how much you have a choice. This is what most people do right here. They get their money and they go shopping. They buy clothes, they buy food, they pay their bills. And then, if there's some money left at the end of their month, they save it. Okay? You'll never get ahead by doing this. This will always be a major struggle. What all the people do that do well with their money, the first thing they do when they get paid is they pay themselves first and they save. Okay? Really key word right here. Pay yourself first when you get paid. Then pay all your bills. So take what's left after you save, pay all your bills. Now, I understand you may not be able to save a whole lot in the beginning, but saving anything and starting a savings habit is what's really critical for you. Get started with saving, okay? Establishing good credit, and I'm going to tell you little things about credit. Having a good credit score is really critical. It's more critical in Florida than California. In California, the only thing that a credit score really does for you is you can get better loans. That being said, most people in California want to buy a house as soon as they can because our houses are so stupid expensive. They want to get what they can get when they can get it. Okay? So how do you get a good credit score? To me, it's really simple. You go out and get one credit card that you'll use and you'll pay off every single month. And you use it for something that you're usually buying all the time. So, like if I got a guy in here, it might be Dick's Sporting Goods because they might go there once a month to buy some socks or a t-shirt or a pair of shorts, and then they need to pay for it. And every time you pay on time, you get points. If you have a credit balance of 0, you'll get points, and your credit score will grow rapidly. What really hurts your credit score is you get a lot of credit cards, pretty soon you get credit on all of them, and now you're not paying them, and you're paying every month. And then you miss a payment, now your credit score goes even lower. Okay? Mike, what else do you need good credit for in Florida?
So auto insurance is related with credit, as well as home insurance too. So if you have a lower credit score, that's going to increase your auto premium and increase your home insurance and renter's insurance as well.
So it becomes a pretty key thing here in Florida. Okay? It is pretty easy to manage. I can tell you this. Out of all the people that I work with, the biggest negative problem that I see when people are trying to plan a retirement is they have a ton of credit card debt. And I mean, you guys think you have student loan debt? I had one client come in with 240,000 in credit card debt. I didn't even know you could get that many credit cards. And I said, how'd you do this? He goes, well, his two sons, one of them went to Pittsburgh, so I'm not going to use his name. You might know him, because he played football there. His two sons went to play college football, and he was absolutely positive they were going to make it in the NFL. So he used his credit cards to pay a lot of their tuition, their books, and other expenses, knowing that he was going to get paid back when they made it big. Then they didn't make it so big. He had great careers, but he ended up with the whole ticket. And it was, when he came to see me, he was 60. It took us 4 years just to get management on the credit card debt to where we could let him retire at 64. In California, typically people want to retire at 62 because they can. Okay? It's just a massive challenge to deal with credit card debt. In our office, we call credit cards the devil. Okay? And there's a good reason for it, because it's not any place that works out very well for most people. Talked about credit scores, they range from 300 to 850 points. Okay? It is easy to track them online, and I have an app on my phone for it. It's called Credit Sesame. I can just open it up, and as soon as I touch it, it gives me my credit score. It shows me what payments have been made. It shows me where my score is headed. When my credit goes up or down, it's pretty easy. It's pretty easy to track your own credit, and you should track your own credit. Because if I'm a bad guy and I steal your identity, I'll get it on here first, because I'll see that you're ringing up a bunch of charges on my cards. Okay? My credit card companies are pretty good. They call me pretty fast. But it's a nice thing to be able to do. Okay? Now, how do you save for retirement? Let's just briefly talk about this piece, because I want you to see what you could do differently. How do you even start? How do you create room in your budget? It should be the first thing you do is you pay yourself first. One of the nice things I liked about Horace Mann when I started as a Horace Mann representative is if I was working with you and you had no money, I could open up a retirement account for $25 a month. And we were the only company that would open one up for $25 a month. So if I wanted to create a saving habit for my client, it was like, hey, we're starting. Next year we get a raise, we'll go to 35. The year after that, get a raise, we'll go to 45. But we're going to get started. Okay? That's the important piece right here, is we get that thing going. And you got to look at where you're spending your money. So there's an example on this screen right here that shows, what if you stop that Starbucks stuff, right? Okay? You're easy to pick on right now. You're a big target right now. Okay? What if you stop that Starbucks thing and you took that $3 a day that you were spending on a cup of coffee, which is $92 a month, and you put it into a 403B, and you earn 6% interest, which I think you can do. You earn 6% interest. If you start at 25, look how much money you have. $176,000. That's cool. If you work 30 years in the pension system and you have $176,000, that's what I like to call a fabulous retirement. Because your pension's going to keep paying all your bills, and now you've got fun money to spend. Okay? Like when I go to a game, I sit in the front row. I don't care how much the tickets cost. I don't go to that many games, so I'm going to spend the money. But look what happens if you pay your student loan debt off first, and you don't start saving until you're 50. And now you save that $3, now you amass $27,000. The difference is when you start young and you have time on your side, you can grow a lot of money. Okay? If you wait to do this, you just get further and further behind. Alright? I have a lot of clients who have $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 in their 403Bs. My college roommate has $1.1 million in his 403Bs. He's the tightest guy I've ever seen. Okay? He won't pay for anything ever, but he loves saving his money. I don't even know why he's still working. He's a special ed teacher. It's like, Rick, why are you still working? You don't need to work anymore. You have 34 years, and take the money. Okay? But we can't figure it out. He's getting a little greedy at this point. So this is a really important thing for you to understand right here, that we got to start early. Okay? What can you do right now? The first thing you can do is start understanding what you're going to have coming in and what it costs to actually live. Okay? Secondly, you've got to manage the student loan debt. We'll help you do that. Okay? If you get that fact finder filled out, we're going to take that, we're going to help you understand what you have and help you start getting. Yours is the easiest one. Okay? Having somebody like you come in is like a real pleasure because it's like, okay, all right. Check your credit, figure out how to keep growing that credit. Okay? If it means getting a credit card at your favorite store and using it once a month and paying it off, then that's what it is. Okay? And then think about what you want your future to look like. Okay? We used to have a saying when I was teaching, and I coached a lot of high school sports, that any road will get you there if you don't know where you're going. Now that may not make much sense to you, but in coaching, if we don't have a goal at the end and there's not something we want, then it doesn't really matter what choice I make. I'm going to get to the bottom of any route I take. But if you start thinking about your future and where you want to be, it's going to start defining you and what you want to happen. I knew that as a teacher, I wanted to have way more than the average retirement. So I saved pretty aggressively from the day I started teaching. When I left teaching, my goal was to help my colleagues do that same thing, because I thought they deserved better. They're amazingly good, hard-working people that deserve a lot more than going through what some of you guys could potentially be going through with your student loan debt. So we want to be able to help you with that piece. Okay? Now, we have this website right here. And I happen to have this expert here that wants to talk about it really briefly. If she goes too long, don't worry, I'll cut it off. Okay? I'm not the tech person. This is about as techy as I get right here. Okay? Yeah. But Aaron, go ahead.
So I think you get the picture that we do a lot to help educators get a better financial picture. Something we started a couple of years ago, we started to talk to people like any of you that are just about to start their career. And we asked them what their stresses were. Any ideas what the top stresses are? What? Money. Here, I already know you're doing what's your top stress? Finding a job. The second thing was teaching for the first time. It's really professional stresses and it really wasn't financial stresses. So we created a destination site for new teachers. Real quick for new teachers. The URL is up there. You should bookmark it if you have any interest on it. So we have a lot of articles on many of the topics that Jack's talking about, but we also have resources to get off to a good professional start. So we have a search engine that's there. It aggregates from over 20 different sources to get classroom ready, Common Core standard ready, whatever the standards are, curriculum you can use in the classroom. Just going to take that. I'm a fourth grade teacher. I don't have a math thing. Pull up and we'll give you a library of things that you can download for free. We also have a community site on here too. We give away a lot through social media. CourseNet is the #1 site for educators. It's also the number one insurance social media site for like Pinterest and Instagram because we have tons of classroom ideas. Are you going to do Star Wars Day for the first time? Okay, here's what 10 things they can do for Star Wars Day. So go to this. Can you go to the next slide, please? We also just launched a Facebook community site for the teachers, so this is going to be much more dynamic. We want to create some resources for you in a community that you can interact with. This is not one to go on there like us. This summer, you're going to see a lot of contests and giveaways. We're going to be giving away tons of things that you're starting your career in Charlotte. You would love to sign up for it. Last year we gave our grand finale was a wardrobe to some teachers who get good shopping, to dress for success. We gave away Apple Watches, things on Amazon. So this is like a no-brainer. And we do this because we just thank you for choosing this school profession. So we really appreciate it. Is that fast?
That was beautiful. So I mentioned something about Donors Choose earlier. We're a strategic partner with DonorsChoose.org. We help teachers put projects up. We don't want you to spend your own money. We'll help you get it. Okay? In fact, in almost every case where we have pretty good, strong agents, and we've got a really strong agent here, and there's some people here that you can meet, we donate to Donors Choose projects all over the place. Okay? It's just a really good thing